Hey everyone, we're now live. Thank you for joining Fairytrail app's virtual digital nomad dating show. So excited to have you all on board. We had a lot of registrants, a lot of people showing interest, so grateful that you could all join today. I want to share a little bit with you about what this show even is. So the whole concept behind Fairytrail, our mission and values is bringing together people from all over the world. Whether that's friendships, finding adventure, or even finding love. So we thought, what better way than to bring two people together on their first date, happening virtually live for all of you to watch and tune in. So we have two amazing contestants joining us today. They've never met or spoken to each other before, which is going to be exciting because we're all going to get to know each other in real time. And you guys are here to watch it all unfold. So as we're going through this virtual digital nomad dating show, feel free to react, leave some comments, ask some questions. We would love to have you guys interacting. We want to hear your feedback in real time. Both of these contestants are active users on the Fairytrail app. If you haven't already downloaded the app, go ahead. You might even be able to see them or match with them. So it just speaks to the quality of our user base on Fairytrail as well. So we've been really looking forward to this day. Super excited to get going here. So the concept here is that I'm going to bring both the contestants on board. Again, they've never met before. So this is their first time getting to see each other, hear each other, and I'm going to be asking questions that were submitted by you guys who had registered ahead of time. So these questions are going to help us to get to know each other. And then from there, we'll just see how things go. Hopefully we all get along well, and if things do go well, we would love to have the two contestants meet up in real life, and Fairytrail will sponsor their adventure together in person. So that's the really exciting part. So stay tuned for that. So make sure you're following Fairytrail app in order to see updates in real time about how things go past this Instagram Live. So that being said, I'm going to invite our two contestants into the live right now. So let's get them going. All right, here we go. I'm inviting them in. Hello there.
Hello.
Hello,
Hey
how's
guys.
it going?
Hey, thanks for
Hi.
joining us.
Thanks for having
Oh,
us.
yeah, glad to be here.
So again, everyone, this is their first time getting to meet face to face. So in yellow here, we have Maytar. In blue, we have Sebastian. This is our female and our male candidates. They're both active users on the Fairytrail app. Maybe you've seen their faces on there before, maybe not. Really excited to get going today. For those of you who haven't heard of Fairytrail before, if this is your first time, tuning in or watching one of our lives, if you came from Maytar or Sebastian's pages, I want to give you a little intro about what Fairytrail app is. So we're a travel matching app with the purpose being that we bring together people all over the world, whether you're seeking friendship, going on an adventure, falling in love, finding your travel soulmate. On the app, you're able to build out your character, which is based on different fairy tale characters to make it fun. You fill out a profile about you, where you're based, and we're specifically targeted towards digital nomads, remote workers, and travel enthusiasts. That way, you already have something in common with them right off the bat. You have this love and passion for seeing the world. And really, you make it your own. Learn a new language, exchange travel tips, have fun conversations. And if you do meet a special someone on the app, book a trip and go adventure together. We have over 25,000 people have downloaded Fairytrail, and we were rated the #1 dating app in 2021 by Digital Trends. So we're growing. We have a lot of amazing users all over, whether you are a full-time digital nomad out there exploring the world, or if you're just, someone who has a home base but loves to travel and connect with people all over. Definitely be sure to download the app on the App Store, on the Play Store, and of course, reach out anytime if you have questions. So thank you for listening to my elevator pitch. Now we're gonna move into the fun stuff where, enough about me and Fairytrail. Let's get to know the contestants. So my name is Amanda. I collaborate here with Fairytrail to, make these events and experiences come to life. Again, we're all about human connection and interaction. So as you're watching this live stream, please feel free to leave some comments, to send some emojis. We want to hear from you in real time. And we have a list of questions that were submitted by our audience, which we're going to use to get to know Maytar and Sebastian. But first, I would just love to hear from them in their own words to introduce themselves. So Sebastian, you want to go ahead and say hi?
Yeah, for sure. Well, first I want to say, thanks for having me for this. I'm super excited. My name is Sebastian. I'm 28 years old. I was actually born in Romania in Europe, but my family immigrated to Canada when I was 3, and I grew up in Vancouver, so on the West Coast. I've been a digital nomad now for like over a year, full time, and I've traveled to over 40 countries so far. I've also lived in 5, so travels is really important to me. It's a big part of who I am. I move around a lot just because I find that I personally believe life is just too short to spend it all in one place, because there's just so much to experience in the world, from different cultures, different people, different languages, cuisines, landscapes. I mean, it would just be a shame to not try to experience as much of it as you can. So that's kind of what I do. I know I live life to the fullest, as cliche as it sounds, but yeah, that's me in a nutshell, really.
Love that. Nice to meet you, Sebastian. I definitely agree. Life is too short. We really need to seize every moment. I feel like a lot of people say, like, oh, someday I'll do this, one day when I retire. And it's like, you really only have today. Tomorrow's not promised. So I'm glad to hear that you get out there and you seize the day and see the world. I know Maytar has a similar mentality to life.
Yep.
Maytar, go ahead and introduce yourself.
So, hi everyone. Hi Amanda. Hi Sebastian. Nice to meet you. My name is Maytar, Maytar Paz, and I'm actually originally from Israel. I moved to LA about 6 years ago now, after my acting dream and passion. But I always had a passion for traveling and exploring new places. Like you said, cultures, different cuisines. I'm a foodie, so definitely like to try different types of food. Since I was a little kid, I was always drawn to traveling, because I feel like it teaches you so much about yourself, and about others. So we kind of know that we're not in our own little bubble, but we learn about other people. We learn about their behaviors. We learn about their cultures. So I think that's so important, because this world is big and so fascinating. So I'm always really excited to get to know, to get to know those cultures, to get to know those people, and to get to know me better. So, and I think this is what cool about this app, that it brings people together. And I feel like traveling, that's something that sometimes you start you traveling by yourself, but you meet so many amazing people along the way. And that's what makes you connect better. That's what makes the trip a lot of the times, the people you meet along the way. So I'm excited to be here, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I completely agree. Sometimes it's not necessarily about where you're going, but who you're with and the company that you keep. And I know quite a few of you know me from the solo traveling community. And when I started solo traveling, 7 years ago, I thought I was doing it to, learn more about the world. And believe me, I've learned more about the world and other cultures and stuff. But at the end of the day, what I really learned the most about was myself. So I definitely agree with what you're saying there, Maytar, and I think that's something that's so important, and that's definitely, a value that we have at Fairytrail is, as you're getting to know the world, get in touch with who you really are and your personal growth and self-development, because that's all part of the journey as well. So I couldn't agree more. I'm glad we all have that in common. So thank you guys for doing the intros. I would love to dig a little deeper now and get to know more about you. I'm probably going to be surprised to hear some of this stuff as well. So our amazing community of travelers and those who are on the app submitted some really fascinating questions to us that they want to hear answered by you. So I'm going to go through a list of audience submitted questions, and I'll let you know who I'm going to call on first to answer it. And yeah, let's get going.
We're ready.
So are you ready?
Ready.
Born ready.
Lay it on me. Cool. So our first question was submitted by a user who's actually based in Thailand. And the question is, what was the last place that you traveled to? Sebastian, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, so that's a tough question for me, because I'm technically traveling right now. Being a digital nomad, it's kind of, you're always on the move. You're always in a new city. Like I've been moving around now for over a year. We're moving to a new city every month or two just for fun. So I'm currently based in Montreal, is where I am. And so yeah, I'm technically traveling right now because this is. But if we're gonna consider my current base my home for the time being, then the last trip outside of Montreal for me was 2 weekends ago. I just did a weekend in Ottawa, the capital of Canada. So, but yeah, apart from that, before I started moving around all, in the past year, I guess my last trip was backpacking in Southeast Asia. So yeah.
So
That's awesome.
fun. Wow.
That's really
And what
awesome.
about you, Maytar? Where's the last place you
So
traveled to?
for me, I think if I remember correctly, the last place I've been to was Hawaii during quarantine. So that was a really nice escape from all the craziness to just kind of like relax and unwind. And Hawaii was just incredible. Like we went to the Big Island, and we got to do snorkeling with manta rays, and it was just incredible. Like it's so peaceful, and there's so many amazing places to explore, and I can't wait to go back and just explore the different islands. And yeah, I think besides that, I've actually been going a few times back and forth to Israel to visit my family, which is always a great time. But of course, now with the times of COVID and dealing with that, it's been just a different travel experience than what we're used to. But it actually, I think it kind of COVID made us appreciate traveling even more, because we're like now we're like, oh my god, like they just stopped traveling for a while, and that was so hard for me because I'm like a person that just always looking for another opportunity to travel and to go different places, and suddenly like it's forbidden. So it's so great that now slowly things are opening back up, and that I got to visit my family, get to travel a little bit around Israel, even though I know Israel pretty well, but there's always this is the magic of traveling. You always explore something new. So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I agree. Like the pandemic gave me a fresh outlook on travel. It was the longest I'd ever gone in my adult life without being on a plane. Used to just like the week of booking a flight, hopping on the plane, going wherever I want, but like that luxury was stripped away from me. So I had to get creative and find all these ways, to travel in LA and to find new places and new nature. So definitely something we don't take for granted now as the world starts to reopen again. Cool. So our next question was submitted by one of our users who lives in Spain. And the question is, and money was not an issue, where would why? Maytar, if you want to go first.
Can you so if I could live anywhere, where would it be?
You can live anywhere in the world for 1 year, and like money is not an issue. It's all expense paid. Which country are you picking and why?
Ooh, that's tough. That's a hard question because
Lots
I
of
want to
options.
live so many different places, and there's some places that I still haven't been to, and I'm sure it's gonna be amazing to live in, but I don't have that. I don't know. Should I go for like my dream experience without knowing the place, or should I go for
Yes, your dream experience?
Okay, I don't know why I was always really drawn to Australia. I've never been to Australia, but for some reason I feel like I'm gonna have an amazing time living there. So that's something that I would have liked to go to Australia for a while, explore it, and live there for a little bit. Another place is probably Japan. I think the culture is so fascinating, and it's so different than what I'm used to. So I think that would be a really amazing place to spend a year at.
Wow, good choices. Sebastian, have you ever been to Australia or Japan?
I have not been to either, actually. I was going to say Australia is actually on my list as well as a place to live for a year. I'd really love to do that. But for me, the number one on my list, because I actually have a list of a few different places, I guess like you, but my number one is Brazil, because I really want to learn Portuguese, and I haven't been to South America, so it'd be really cool to kind of, learn the language and then also travel around the continent, right? But yeah, Australia as well. Japan, yeah, Japan's a really cool place I'd love to explore. So yeah.
So we're on the same page.
We're on the same page. I guess we're going to
My bags
Australia.
are packed. Say when. Sorry, I'm third.
Yeah.
Like, can I come?
Right. Why not?
Amazing.
We're all
Yeah,
leaving now. I'm
Peru,
packing.
guavas. We can
Yeah,
adopt
yeah.
all.
I'm packed. Yeah, we're gonna go.
I'm already starting the pack right now.
I like always just have like a bag of things ready to go. You never know when. So make sure you have your passport renewed at all times. Don't let it expire.
That's right.
Amazing. So our next question was submitted by one of our users from Brazil. And the
Oh,
question is,
that's for you,
Oh, there you
Sebastian.
go. Yeah. Amazing.
what was the most unique or weird food that you ever tried?
Um, yeah, I guess for me it'd probably have to be a scorpion in Cambodia.
Ooh,
Yeah. Um, although it was, I mean, I tried it. It was like a really big one. It was like this big, maybe. I don't know how to,
is
like
it
this big.
fried?
I don't know how it was cooked exactly. I think it might have been fried. But I honestly don't know how people eat. I guess the big ones, the small ones, I guess could be edible, but like the big ones, I tried to bite it, and it was like you couldn't really bite through it. You know, the shell was just too hard, right? Your teeth would like sink in, and then you'd be trying to chew, and nothing would happen. So I don't know. Do not recommend, honestly, but it was a cool experience for sure.
Nice.
What about you?
Trying to think
What did it
what was
taste
the
like?
weirdest one. I'm like I'm like I said, I'm a foodie, so I love trying different
Mm,
foods, but I would usually not go for the weird ones. Like I
right,
just kind of like choose ones that I'm still comfortable with. But
right.
I think in Finland, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know if it's that weird. I'm sure some people like eat it very like often, but like I remember in Finland, I traveled to Finland and Lapland when I turned 12, which was kind of like my big bat mitzvah trip.
Oh, cool.
And then I remember there, like people eat a lot of like deers. And that was something that was like different for me. So like I
Okay.
remember was a little hesitant if that's something that I want to try or not.
Mm,
But yeah, but this is like I think it is part of like going to a new place and trying kind of like their local favorites. So that was interesting.
was it a reindeer?
Yeah, reindeer.
Oh wow. Oh no. How's Santa gonna deliver the presents? Eating his reindeer.
Yes, like I'm not sure Santa's gonna like it. Maybe I'll get
Yeah.
cold now.
You're on the naughty list
You're
now.
on the naughty
Right,
list for
exactly.
sure.
What did it taste like?
It just, I think, like if I remember correctly, because like I said, I was like 12. But from what I remember, it was like pretty dry actually. Like it was kind of like had a little bit of that dry texture, just kind of like tastes like meat. But I don't know. Afterwards, I felt kind of horrible. I was like, I don't want to eat a deer. I don't want to eat a reindeer. But so I don't think I'm gonna do it again. Like it was like one and done. But
It's
but
kind of
I
cruel. It's
tried.
child abuse. Parents making their kid eat the reindeer.
Yeah, I mean, my friends from Australia also told me like I was surprised. Like some of my friends are like, "Oh, we eat they eat kangaroos," and I'm like, "Really?" Like I was like, "No, this is not for me." But
I've tried kangaroo. I'm
yeah,
sorry. Yeah,
how was
yeah.
it?
It was just very gamey, very dry, like you said. I wasn't the biggest fan. I think you'd have to try. I tried it when I was in Vancouver, so it wasn't direct. It wasn't like straight from the farm in Australia. So I think maybe it's better if I try it
Uh-huh.
there. Another reason for us to go to Australia, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, no, it was. I don't know. And the one I had wasn't that great. It was like frozen because they shipped it to Vancouver. But
So no kangaroos recommendations.
no, not from me. I mean, I would try it again in Australia though.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I just for me maybe it's I'm too conventional, but I was like when I like heard they're eating kangaroos, I'm like, no,
Uh,
this is not for me. But
yeah.
but yeah, but I do love, like I said, I love trying like every time I come to a country, I'd love to try out all the special foods that they have as long as they're not too
Mhm.
crazy. I'm in. So
I can try the crazy stuff. I don't mind.
I'll leave
Sounds
that to
like
you.
you're adventurous.
Sounds good.
Amazing. So our next question was submitted from one of our users in India, and he wants to know what's something surprising about you that most people don't realize. Sebastian?
Oh, I'm starting again. Okay. Well, I think a lot of people are surprised, especially here in Canada or in North America, a bit less so in Europe, but there are a lot of people are surprised because I speak 5 languages.
Wow.
So a lot of people don't expect that. And yeah,
Five.
five.
What five?
Yeah. English, French, Italian, Spanish, and Romanian.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that's about it.
Nice.
What about you?
So yeah, I think what surprises people about me necessarily, like, I mean, here in America, actually, not a lot of people know that in Israel I had to go through like army service. So I served for 2 years because it's mandatory over there. But here people see me and you're like, you served in the army? I'm like, yep, 2 years. So I mean, I think that would be something that surprises people about me because it's not their perception. But I'm a badass, so you know.
Yeah, I
So
So
think
if we ever
people
run
see
into
you and they're like,
trouble,
oh wow, she's so feminine and lovely, and you're like, I served in the army.
it's like, oh yeah, but
right?
she shot M16s a few years ago.
Wow. So if we ever get into trouble while traveling, I'll just let you take care of it.
Cool.
And stay on her good side.
Deal.
Right, and
You'll
then stay
speak
on
the
their good side
language.
too.
You'll speak the
No
languages
combat.
with everyone, and I'll just be the. I'll guard
Right.
us. So,
Exactly. If I go somewhere where I don't speak the language and we get into trouble, you'll take care of it. So it's a good team.
Do you know
deal.
Krav Maga?
What's that?
Maytar, do you know Krav Maga?
Oh yeah. I learned a little bit of Krav Maga during my service. Like when you're in boot camp, they teach you a little bit of the basics, and then when I came to America, actually mostly because of acting, a lot of people are like, oh, you served in the army, you should know Krav Maga. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take more classes.
Your own
So now,
stunts.
now I know some. Now I know Krav Maga. I need to stick to that badass reputation. So
It sounds like you're
I
going
don't know
to be
what that is.
Sebastian's bodyguard on these trips.
Right.
he will be
I'll be there.
he'll be able to communicate with everyone with all the
Right.
languages, and I'll just be the bodyguard. So yeah, it
Works
sounds
for me.
like a fair deal.
Yeah.
Zero.
What was what's Bob Maga, or what did you say? I didn't catch that.
Krav,
What is that?
Krav Maga, yeah. So Krav Maga
Yeah.
is like Israeli martial arts
Like
technique.
karate. It's like a type of fighting.
Oh, nice! I see
Oh,
the
okay.
comments
Oh, wow.
that Jamie also took some Krav Maga classes. That's
Oh,
awesome.
yes.
Okay. Very
Nice.
It's a
cool.
really good workout.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's really good because it's mostly about like self-defense and not so much about like how to start a fight with someone, but more about how to avoid a fight. So I think that's what's really cool. A lot of martial arts is like, okay, let's fight each other, but Krav Maga is like, let's avoid the fight if we don't have to fight. So
I like that.
yeah,
That's nice.
and
Sounds like a Canadian
uh,
way to
and-
fight.
Oh yeah, and like what do you call it? Fun fact: Krav Maga in Hebrew means, it's kind of weird. Like it's translated as battle of touch.
Ooh,
Battle of touch. Krav Maga.
I'm learning a lot on this
All
live
right.
stream.
All right. Good to know.
Yeah, and I see. Yeah, it's about using your opponent energy, right? Yes, it is.
Yeah, keep the comments flowing, you guys. We love reading this and reacting in real time. And then our next question comes to us from one of our users in France, and she wants to know, what's the most adventurous thing you ever tried doing? Maytar?
Okay. I think for me, it's like a really fun experience that I've been through. When I was in Israel, actually, my mom and we signed into this rappelling trip into like the middle of Salt Cave.
And
it
for
was
you
like,
guys who don't know, rappelling is basically jumping off a cliff.
it's basically like you're kind of like climbing down. Yeah, it's kind of like you're very, you're very kind of like high and on a mountain, and then you just kind of like start making your way down. And we got into like a salt cave, and that was incredible because in the cave, like the cave was very like it was like we didn't have much space, so we kind of had to crawl inside the cave. and there was all these amazing like salt sculptures inside, and it was just an incredible experience. And in the beginning I was like, oh my god, but it ended up like being a very fun experience that I'll always remember. And it was fun that I did it with my mom, because it's always like really fun traveling.
Yeah, that's so special. Oh my gosh.
Is your mom?
Mom, if you're watching, would you ever do that?
Yeah,
with me? I doubt it.
if you're watching, Mom, here's a shout out.
Right.
What
Is your
Yeah,
mom
I
like
tried
super adventurous?
rappelling, and
My
so
mom is.
when you start rappelling, first you have to fall back.
Right.
And I was so scared because even though you're harnessed and you're strapped in, you're falling back and you're on the side of a cliff. I like definitely had to take some deep breaths, and thankfully I had a really good guide who like walked me through it mentally. Yeah. He's like, you're strapped in, you're harnessed, you're good. I'm like, I'm falling off a cliff, but it wound up being the most fun thing. I highly recommend it for anyone who gets a chance. I didn't wind up in a salt cave though. That's really unique.
Yeah, that was really good. I recommend it for everyone. If you ever like travel to Israel, there's like in the desert, there's some like really nice salt caves there, and like if you can do like the rappelling experience, I 100% recommend. So, but what were you asking, Sebastian?
I was asking because you said you did it with your mom. Was your mom like super scared, or is she like an adventurous person?
No,
what was that like?
It's actually funny. My mom, I think, is even more adventurous than me.
No
So
way.
my mom is like the one of like, come on, let's go, and I'll be like, are you sure this is a good
Wow.
idea? You know, so I'm pretty adventurous, but I think my mom is like even more so. So
That's cool. She sounds fun.
yeah, she is. Yeah. So how about you?
My mom? Or what mom? My mom?
Like, I mean, both. Both.
Both. No, my mom is not like crazy adventurous. She gets scared of like small things. So, she wouldn't rappel down a cliff. Definitely not. But, for me, mine is not so much like an activity that I did, I guess, or like, some, a cool experience like that. I think for me, the most adventurous thing I've done in my life is the first time I ever went backpacking solo. And it was I was 21 years old, and it was a month through Europe. So I started in the UK in Manchester, or no, London, no, Manchester, and then I worked my way up to Scotland, to Northern Ireland, to Ireland, and to London, then down through Europe all the way up to Italy. Took about a month long, and it was just extremely nerve-wracking at the beginning. Like, I don't know if you've ever solo traveled before, but it was like, the first time I was, I heard about people doing it, and I thought, it sounds super fun. Everyone talks, says it's amazing, and so I got to try it. But the first time you do it, it's so scary because you just like don't know how you're gonna, if you're gonna feel lonely, or how you're gonna meet people, how you're gonna like do things. You don't know what you're gonna be like when you're on your own, right?
Yeah.
But after that month, I got addicted, so here I am.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. I mean, from coming like all the way from Israel, I came completely by myself. I didn't know anyone here, so it was, it was kind of like a scary, experience in the beginning, but then it turned into this like amazing experience of like getting to know so many incredible people, and kind of knowing that some adventures it's actually great to do on your own. Like I said earlier, like you get to know yourself better. And I remember like even traveling with family when I was a kid, I would always see some people that sit by themselves, or like they travel by themselves, and I was like, why do they do that? And now I totally understand that it's a different angle, like for traveling. It's like it really teaches you, like I think it helps you experience traveling from like a different angle, and I think it's really great.
It's so true.
100%.
And actually, like one of our viewers, Mel, just asked, how do you meet people? And so I've solo traveled to almost 30 countries now. The thing with it is like, just because you're alone doesn't mean you're lonely. I find that it forces you to put yourself out there and open up. Because let's say if you were traveling with a group of 5 friends, you're just going to stick with each other. No one's really going to approach you. But when you're on your own, like you're forced to get out there and meet people. And you become so much more approachable because of that. Honestly, some of my best friends in my life I've made were from my solo travels, just because you connect on this deep level. You just open up to each other a lot faster than you would if you were in school or work or your hometown. It's such a unique experience. So it definitely takes courage, especially if you were backpacking around Europe solo. But once you get into the swing of it, like Sebastian said, it's so addicting. Like after my first solo trip, I've been hooked. It's such an amazing way to meet people.
I agree.
Definitely. And there's a common misconception about solo traveling from people who haven't done it before. they assume that it means you're alone the whole time, but it couldn't be further from the truth. Like whenever I'm solo traveling, I make so many friends and meet so many people. And to answer Mel's question in the chat there, like there are multiple different ways I do it. One is obviously staying in a hostel. You know, you meet so many people just in your room or in the common room of your hostel. I like to pick hostels that have bars or that have activities like pub crawls or trivia nights or whatever. You know, it's just so easy to meet people that way as well. I like to do walking tours in cities, especially in Europe. Um, and yeah, just kind of putting yourself out there, really. You have to, by traveling solo, you're putting yourself out of your comfort zone, right? And part of that is also like talking to people that you otherwise may not have talked to back home, right? Or, you know, trying to, yeah, just talk to strangers, really. And solo traveling really like gets you out of your shell. If you're stuck in your shell, it for me, that's what happened to me. Like it just made me realize, you know, people are awesome. You just got to talk to them, you know?
True.
Yeah, like I always say, it restores my faith in humanity. We see like so much negative stuff on the news of all this awful violence and people not getting along and war. But when you put yourself out there, you know, you realize there are good people out there. I once had a woman literally gave me the keys to her house and she's like, it's yours. Go stay and go enjoy. I was like, that is so renewing my trust in people. So you get these magical experiences when you put yourself out there in the world. So I'm really glad that's something that we can share. Our next question comes from one of our digital nomad users who's currently based in Bali. And she wants to know, what do you do for personal growth and self-development? Maytar.
Oh wow, that's a deep one.
It's deep.
Yeah.
Deep. Like I like how she thinks.
I love it. I love it. So I think, yeah, I mean, I am trying, I think, to do something small every day, you know, to kind of like see how I can grow from it. And even like, you know, we make mistakes as human beings. We're not robots. So I think that's what teaches us a lot about like how to grow from it and not how to let it bring you down. Like when you make a mistake, it's like, okay, I've learned from it. How can I become better? But I think that as an actress as well, I'm very connected to, you know, I need to always be very connected to my emotions and my feelings. And I think that's what really helps me, that I reflect a lot. Like I kind of take the time to see like, okay, what am I feeling right now? Are my feelings right now? I mean, all the feelings are valid and we all need to remember that all the time. But like sometimes I think we let our emotions control us instead of like us controlling the emotions. So you know, it's a balance, and I think you are, you know, growing up and, you know, getting older. But I think that, yeah, for growing, I always kind of, like I said, I stop and I reflect and I think about the things that I, you know, weren't happy about and where do I want to be and what do I do in order to get to where I want to be. And you know, there's no one way, there's a lot of ways to do that. But I think by really being connected to yourself and your feelings, your emotions, without letting them, like I said, consume you or control you, and by making some sort of like a roadmap of like, okay, this is where I'm at right now. This is where I want to be. What do I do in the middle, right? What do I do to get there? So, and not being so hard on yourself too, like, because it's a little step, you know, it's a step at a time. You can't just expect yourself to just jump from one point to another. So it's a process. And you know, traveling again, it's a great way to just kind of go on those trips and have some time to yourself to disconnect and to think, how would you like to grow? What would you like to become? Where are you at right now? So yeah, this is my short answer to a very big question.
Yeah.
Can you like type that up so I can print it and hang it on my wall? Like that was
definitely
right.
I'm gonna write my book right now and it's gonna be available in stores
like
tomorrow.
I'm moved by that.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can relate to a lot of that for sure. And I think a lot of it for a lot of people in their self-development journey, you know, a lot of what you said is common for a lot of people. And for me, like my self-development journey started when I was like 18. I just kind of, like you said, I just kind of like took a step back and looked at who I was and just thought, you know, I don't like who I am. I don't like this person. I want to be a better person. I want to be this type of person. I want to, you know, yeah, I just want to change who I am really, but for the better, right? And I think that's the first step for sure. You have to kind of have that realization in your head, like I need like looking at yourself and being like, okay, this is what I don't like about myself, and this is what I want to change.
Right.
And that's kind of how I started. And, you know, it took a lot of time, many years. It's not overnight, gradually. And the key for me was, and it still is, just constantly stepping out of my comfort zone that I've never done before, or that I'm not used to, or that I otherwise would have been scared of, and just, you know, saying, fuck it, I'm going to do it. Right. And having that attitude of just not caring what anyone else around you thinks, you know, just doing things and for yourself. Right. So for me, that's like when it comes to self-development and, you know, constant growth, personal growth, all that, it's just stepping out of my comfort zone. Traveling is a big part of that for sure. Putting myself in unfamiliar places, meeting new people, you know, putting myself out there, making friends. And, you know, right now, especially kind of just not restarting my life, but like moving from one city to another and just, you know, starting over basically and making new friends, exploring the city. Right.
Yeah.
All of this, you know, is really contributes to my personal growth in general, and confidence and happiness, I guess, as a whole. So that's what I would say.
Nice.
Wow.
I
Snaps
agree.
for that.
I agree.
Can we like write a book together? I'm honestly so inspired.
I hope you're
do it.
typing everything we're saying.
Right.
This is recorded. I'm gonna like
Okay, good.
pep talk or motivational boost. I'll just go back and rewatch this.
Perfect.
Gosh, you guys are amazing. I know we're coming up on time here, so this one will be the last question. So for those of you tuning in, like, comment, let us know, how's it going? Are we all getting along here? What are you guys thinking? Are you entertained? We want to hear from you, so comment below. But our last question is submitted from one of our remote worker users who's based in Mexico. And he wants to know, what would your dream date be? And that's open to interpretation. Like, where would it be? What would the setting be? What would the vibe be? You know, feel free to get creative with it. So Sebastian, what's your dream date?
Okay, that's a tough one because, well, here's the thing. For me personally, I wouldn't phrase it, this might sound like a cop-out, but I wouldn't phrase it as what would your dream date be, but rather how would your dream date be? Because in my opinion, it doesn't really matter what you're doing on the date, but rather how well you connect with the person that you're with.
That's exactly what I was saying.
You could have, like, honestly, you could be just having a simple drink in a bar. You could be having a picnic in the park, or just, you know, chilling on the beach or something. Like, it doesn't really matter the activity of what you're doing. But what makes a date amazing is when it feels like you've known that person for forever. When you just get each other, you connect, you know, that's what I would say makes a dream date for me. However, if you want like a less, you know, cop-out answer, I'd probably say like a day trip adventure outside the city to like a place we've never been, you know, like a little adventure, not a crazy one, but a little one, you know, that's like the perfect date. Cause it's still doable and, you know, it's fun. You get to really, it's like getting a taste of what the person is like as a traveler. Right. So, I'd say that's my dream date.
Yeah, I'll have to say that like how you started it was exactly what I was about to say. So
Right.
But I think it's less about what you're doing, but it's I think more who you're with, and if you have like good communications, I think lots of laughs, and you know, you just feel that emotional connection, you know, the conversation is good. So I think it's mostly that connection more than the experience. But I will say, just like Sebastian said, I think that it's a balance between like kind of getting to know the person, especially if it's like, you know, your first date is like more, I think it's better to just kind of sit down and like, okay, I've never met this person before, who this person is. But also like finding maybe a fun activity to do together, because I think that sometimes there's so much pressure on like, oh, what am I going to say? Like, you know, what is this person saying? But I think that sometimes while doing like having an experience together, doing something fun that you both enjoy, that actually, you know, that connects people too. So it's a balance, I think, between getting to know the person more verbally to having like a fun activity together that bonds you.
Totally.
So are you guys trying to say that your dream first date isn't a live stream on Instagram?
Oh, is that what we were supposed to say?
That's the most romantic thing in the world.
Right.
But it is a good way to get to know each other.
Yeah, why not?
Oh my gosh, this has been so much fun. I feel like we all learned so much about each other. I want to thank you guys for your time and for being participants. For those of you who don't know, we had over 200 applicants. I'm not exaggerating. Over 200 people applied to be a contestant on this show. These were the two we chose. Couldn't be happier with our choice. Definitely speaks
now you're
volumes
making
that
me
you guys,
blush.
you know,
Yeah, right.
about have that mentality. I feel like you really think alike in a lot of these ways and perspectives on life and on the world. So that's something very special. So I want to thank you both so much for your time. It's been really fun. I also want to thank our audience, anyone who's tuned in, whether you're watching live now or whether you're in the future watching this days later. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you had fun. We're always open to feedback. If you had a good time and want to see this happen again, let us know. We would love to put on more of these shows. And last but certainly not least, remember that Fairytrail app is free to download on the App Store, on the Play Store. You can go ahead and build out your profile, connect with amazing people like Maytar and Sebastian all over the world. They're currently on the app, so we have some really great quality people, all about bringing people together here. And feel free to follow along for more updates, hear more about fairy trails and apps, see what happens next with Maytar and Sebastian. The possibilities are limitless. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you
Hope
so
to
much
see you
for
on the-
having us. This was like so fun.
I'm glad
Yeah,
you
this is really
enjoyed.
cool.
Yeah, and thank you
Thank you.
everyone for your comments too. Like we had a lot of fun sharing this with you. So
Yeah. Yeah, and it was great to meet you.
great meeting you as well.
Thanks, guys.
Sweet.
See you next time.
Bye bye.
Thanks,
Or
everyone.
see you in Australia or Japan, where we're going apparently.
Right, right.
Why one
Yes.
when you can just choose
Exactly.
both, right?
Let's do
Yeah,
both.
like why choose when you can have it all?
Yeah.
Right, right.
All right, meet you at the airport.
Perfect. See you there.
I'm ready.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.